A short update video on Bitcoin and Ethereum on Monday morning. We're going to take a look at my positions. We'll go through the latest crypto news. That came in over the weekend, which could really make the market rise parabolically again. Despite everything, we'll also go through my trading bots. I have a few trading bots open. You know that I'm going to close the 4x long trading bot live in the video, and then you'll see that again because I have the tutorials. I'll link it again at the end, or check out the video description. I've put the link to the tutorial there. I've only ever opened them. I want to show you live what it actually looks like when I close it. Why? For what reason? If we look at Ethereum here, hey, and for me, this is really an overheated market right now, no matter how bullish everything seems. We've just gone up parabolically by 45% in 3 days. That's why I say I'm waiting. With the futures bot, at least for a small pullback. Maybe it'll go into this key level. We'll take a closer look at that on the chart as well, to reopen it then, because we're really talking about something extraordinary here. And I think I just read that in the last 4 years, Ethereum hasn't done a run like this even once. And for a coin that was considered dead, which has been under heavy criticism for such a long time, it's really a surprise that we're actually pumping this far. If we take a look, we also have a CME gap now with Ethereum from the weekend, because it kept rising at around $2,344. However, I also see the possibility that we might just pick up a bit of liquidity in this area, and then continue to rise afterwards. And that's what I would wait for. I really don't want to risk anything with the futures bot. The other bots, you might know this from the live stream, which I will also end today temporarily. I'll have to open it on my laptop. They are all doing wonderfully overall and are in profit. As you can see here now, 6%, 1.45%. This one has now bought a few more, or 8 in total. XRP is now finally starting to gradually rack up profits again, and I also have the other spot bots. I'll also keep the spot bots running. That's absolutely no problem since there's no liquidation there. I'm specifically talking about the Ethereum futures bot, and I'm going to do that right now. That means you might know this yourselves. And for those of you who haven't closed the bot yet, I'll show you now what that looks like. I just click on terminate here. By the way, in 24 days, I've simply pocketed 9%, even though it could have been a bit more, but 9% in 24 days is very good. And I might open it again a bit lower down. Now I click on terminate because this one is really, really good. And it also asks, okay, do I really want to do this to cancel everything? I say, yes, okay. And you can see here, now this bot is closed. And the profits I've pocketed are, of course, transferred back to my spot account, or no, in this case, to my futures account. And I was able to take some profits. That was this bot just now. All right, now let's move on to the news. Hey, let's take a quick look at the crypto news before we do an update on Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can see here Donald Trump has posted a few things on his social truth. He wrote here, "My next truth will be one of the most important and impactful I have ever issued. Enjoy." I'm curious to see what comes out of this. I also don't know if it's actually been released yet, but what's even more interesting, and I just posted this on my profile as well, over the past few days, especially over the weekend, quite a lot has happened. We've had the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. We have a meeting between Zelensky and Putin. That's supposed to take place in Turkey. If that really happens now, and the trade agreement with China is apparently being discussed as well, so maybe there will even be zero tariffs, or whatever else might come out of it. That's being talked about. 3 really exciting pieces of news. This could, of course, and this is where we're heading, push the market, especially Ethereum and Bitcoin, much higher. And now it's really getting interesting. What's going to happen next? For me, it's actually a bit too much how far we've gone up without any real pullbacks, except for yesterday's daily candle. But we'll take a closer look at that again. I actually think maybe it really will keep going like this, but I'm more likely to wait for a pullback to a key level. That could possibly happen here or also at this yellow line, because in my last update video, I think I said we need to get above this point, exactly above this yellow line. Then we also have this ascending support, which then turned into resistance. All of that was simply broken through, and you can see that this green key level was actually tested perfectly here after we had a breakout. In fact, right on point, and we continued to rise. But what does it look like now? How could things continue from here? Why do I say I would? Well, that doesn't mean it has to be that way. But if we look at the Fibonacci, and I set it up like this, you can currently see a reversal, provided we don't keep rising at the 0.236 level on the Fibonacci. That would actually be in line with this key level I showed you, and also with this candle that's being formed here. If we don't reach it, that's not a problem either. I still have my Ethereum trade open and a Bitcoin trade as well. That one is also included in my spot portfolio. That's why the situation with the trading bot isn't so bad right now, but for me it suggests a new entry opportunity. But if we take this further and we say we take this low here, that could get quite interesting again, because as you know from my Fibonacci video, and I know nobody really wants to hear this, but 0.6 ARC-IN, that's actually the optimal level for a reversal, if we get one, so that we can enter here. And that would be with this yellow line, which I mentioned here, which was our last lower high that I talked about last time. A healthy pullback before things can continue to be, unless it continues in a parabolic fashion. That's what I want to say. I just really want to point out to you in a neutral way on the chart that here, and I've said this in the videos, that we had our price action here. Yes, which happened like this. And now we've currently reached a really massive high. And a healthy pullback would always be to the line so that we can say we're breaking our trend structure and then have an upward trend. That would also be ideal for me so that I can manage my Ethereum position, which I currently have open because it's the one that's the 100x. I also traded that in a video for you. Take a look at that. There I show you how to create a 100x position and then continue trading without risk. But I also have one in this area here. I just need to move a little further over here. Now here, with almost $7,500, $300 in profit, but with an entry at 2,105, and that would be exactly at this reversal point. Roughly where I say we could find support if we actually drop that far before things move upward again. That's why this position I still have open here in Ethereum, not this one, but exactly this one, is still very, very interesting to keep open. If we now look at the liquidation heat map for Ethereum, it actually just looks like there's still a lot of liquidity down there at 1,728. Whether we'll actually reach that, I don't really think so anymore. Yeah, I really have to say that. But if we now go into, for example, the 1 week chart and 3-day chart or daily liquidation heat map, you can see that only a little bit has built up right around this price range of about 2,200. And in the 3-day liquidation heat map, you can see that there is actually a bit lying between 2,260 and 2,224. If we compare that to the chart, where that would be, it would be in this area, in this key level. I'll remove this here again now. We don't want that anymore now. But that would be exactly this key level I mentioned here, where we might dip in again if we really don't go all the way down. But this key level that we've now broken through could also become support again. This yellow line, remember it anyway, you can place a limit long order here. In the past, this was an incredible support. You can see that from these candles. It doesn't hurt to simply say, even if you don't believe it will go there, if it does, you'll have an optimal entry. We have something very similar with Bitcoin as well. And now we'll move on to the Bitcoin chart, or rather to the dominance. Very briefly before that, the Ethereum dominance, which I also presented in the last videos where I said we're down here at a bottom. In the meantime, Ethereum dominance has just increased massively, of course, because Ethereum has risen by almost 50%. If we look further now, what's really, really brilliant and what makes me very happy at the moment is that the ascending support in the US Tether dominance, which we have here, was actually broken to the downside with yesterday's daily candle. Let me zoom in here. And if we actually experience something like this again now with the news that's just coming out so that we can say, yes, we're continuing to pump. What does that mean? If Bitcoin and crypto really continue to pump here and set new highs, then we would have a similar scenario as we did here. Because if you look to the left and right now, and you can see this by following the mouse or the lines being traced, that the last two pumps, these two right here, happened exactly in these areas, where the support line in the US Tether dominance was broken. That means we might even experience something similar now, so that new highs could occur here and the US Tether dominance continues to decline. At the very latest, I would close my positions if we actually return there and it turns into support again, and then Bitcoin drops back down somewhere. For Bitcoin, the chart analysis as well. You can see here that we actually still have a lot of liquidity in the range between 93 and 90,000. Of course, nobody wants that. But now let's take another look. This is the 1 month chart. Let's switch to the 1 week chart. There is an incredible amount in liquidation. There's really a lot below us and currently very little above us. But that doesn't mean we're going down. If this news really does come out and we go super parabolic with Bitcoin, I still wouldn't just jump in blindly. I still have my Bitcoin position open, which is included here. It's currently still $1,000 in profit. Bitcoin also hasn't done much over the weekend. But with Bitcoin, these liquidations that are in these areas, it's not unlikely that they'll get triggered. And I'll show you on the chart where I would place my orders. For example, we have a cluster at 102,150, and we can take a look at what that means for Bitcoin. In this case, that would be roughly this exact area here, which we passed through and had as support for quite some time. A little below that, maybe 102,150 is about here. So this price range where people went long at this price again, which could still happen right now, We have this CME gap here at 12,977. That means it's easy for the market makers to quickly pick that up and then maybe continue to pump if we really do pump. But what we do have, and you can see this on the 4-hour chart, I just noticed it now, is that we've currently formed a divergence. And I actually didn't notice that earlier. So we have this rising price, and here we have this really falling RSI. Now the question is, on the 4-hour chart, this can of course play out a bit, and we could actually even retest this key level here. That's what I first noticed here with the divergence, that we might go back into this support area and pick up these 100,000, but roughly, which would fit together very, very well again. I'll turn off the BPVR now so it's clearer for you that we pick up this high here roughly where these key levels are. And as you can see, this was a really, really interesting key level in the past. So before you just blindly go long now, actually wait for a pullback, and that will happen. At some point, a pullback will come where we'll have good entry prices for new positions. I actually use these pullbacks to scale my current positions. Or with US Tether. Right now, I only have the Ethereum position open, so I might open a new one with US Tether here. And just to be safe, I've set a few orders here in case there really is a massive price drop. In this case, I don't really think we'll drop that far anymore, but never say never, right? We've been proven wrong by Bitcoin more than once. And I'm talking about exactly these price ranges, right where this white line is. We've already been here at 104, and again, we've dropped down to 90. We've been here at 102, then dropped down to 90, and even once to 88. After that, we pumped back up to 109, then dropped again to 90. And that's why this price range is an incredible opportunity for me to go long. But also these key levels in this case, and I can gradually build up my position there should we drop that far. I will definitely keep you informed whenever I open new positions or when I reactivate my leverage trading bot. And finally, maybe a quick word about BlackRock. In the last video, I said that we added another 2 billion. So at the last all-time high of the BlackRock ETF, it was 64 billion. And at the current moment, it's actually 68 billion that BlackRock has accumulated here in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that is indeed a huge amount. Leave a like, leave some comments on the videos. I would really appreciate it, and see you next time. Bye bye.